Connection, trust, and desire are not accidents. They're energies we create, protect, and grow with intention. When a woman understands the truth behind these three forces, she stops settling, stops guessing, and starts leading her relationships and her life with clarity and power. This speech is about unlocking that truth. Connection is often misunderstood as something that depends on how much time two people spend together, how often they talk, or how many shared interests they have. But true connection is something much deeper, something far more powerful. It is created through emotional alignment, presence, and authenticity. When you walk into a room and you're fully yourself, not filtered, not pretending, not performing, people feel that. They feel your energy before they hear your words. And that energy is the foundation of real connection. You don't build connection by trying to impress people. You build it by being rooted in who you are. When you understand your values, your boundaries, and your worth, you naturally attract relationships that reflect that clarity. Most people lose connection because they're too busy managing other people's reactions. They silence their needs to keep the peace. They shrink themselves to avoid being judged. They pretend to be unaffected when something hurts. But connection cannot survive in the darkness of pretending. It only grows in truth. When someone feels your honesty, when they sense your sincerity, when they see you speak from your real emotions instead of a rehearsed version of yourself, they respond with vulnerability of their own. And that moment, that opening, is where connection begins to build. You cannot form a real bond while hiding behind a mask. The world connects to the real you, not the edited version. Being emotionally present is another crucial pillar. Presence means you're not just physically in the room. Your mind, heart, and attention are there too. In a world full of distractions, presence has become rare, almost sacred. When you listen without waiting to speak, when you make someone feel seen instead of overlooked, when your energy signals, "I'm here with you," you create a connection that most people never experience. Presence is a gift, and not everyone knows how to give it. But once you learn to be present, your relationships deepen in ways that feel almost effortless. Connection also requires emotional alignment, the ability to understand and respect the emotional landscape of the person you're engaging with. Alignment doesn't mean you always agree. It means you try to understand where they're coming from, what they're feeling, and why. When two people align emotionally, even for a few moments, walls fall. Communication becomes easier. Openness becomes natural instead of forced. And intimacy, emotional intimacy, becomes possible. Without alignment, conversations become battles. With alignment, they become bridges. But perhaps the most important truth is this: connection begins inside you, not outside you. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every connection you experience in the world. If you are disconnected from your own emotions, you will struggle to connect with others. If you ignore your own needs, you will attract people who ignore them too. If you abandon yourself, you will attract relationships that mirror that abandonment. But when you are in tune with your own heart, when you value your own presence, when you honor your own truth, the world responds differently. People connect with you more deeply because you are connected to yourself. And that is the real secret. True connection isn't something you chase. It is something you create by consistently showing up in your truth, in your presence, and in your emotional alignment. When you do that, connection becomes natural, not something you force, but something you attract effortlessly. Trust is one of the most powerful currencies in any relationship, yet it is also the most fragile. It is not something that appears overnight, nor is it built on beautiful words or passionate promises. Trust grows from consistency, the quiet, repeated actions that reveal who a person truly is when no one is watching. It's easy for someone to speak with confidence, to say all the right things, to paint a perfect picture of loyalty and care. But words are only the surface. What matters is whether their actions align with those words, whether their energy matches their intentions, whether their patterns confirm or contradict the image they present. Trust is formed when actions and words mirror each other long enough for you to feel safe, steady, and grounded in someone's presence. Many people confuse trust with hope. They hope someone will change. They hope someone will show up differently. They hope someone will become who they need. But hope is not trust, and relying on hope will always leave you disappointed. Trust is built on evidence, the evidence of who someone consistently proves themselves to be. If someone shows you honesty over and over, you can trust it. If someone shows you disrespect over and over, you can trust that too. Patterns never lie. They are the most honest language a person speaks. The danger is not that people show us who they are. The danger is that we ignore it because we want them to be someone else. Trust also requires self-respect. You cannot trust others if you do not trust yourself first. This means believing your intuition, listening to the quiet discomfort in your body, acknowledging the red flags your mind tries to dismiss. Every time you override your own instincts, you weaken the trust you have in your own judgment. And when you do that, you become vulnerable to manipulation, disappointment, and betrayal. But when you honor your inner signals, when you choose clarity over wishful thinking, you strengthen your ability to trust the right people and walk away from the wrong ones. Trusting yourself is the gatekeeper that protects your peace, your heart, and your future. Another truth about trust is that it thrives in transparency. You don't need someone who is perfect, but you do need someone who is honest. You need someone who can admit their mistakes, someone who can communicate openly, someone who can show their flaws instead of hiding behind excuses. Transparency builds emotional safety, the kind of safety that allows trust to grow deeper with time. Without transparency, trust turns into guessing, and guessing breeds anxiety. In relationships where honesty flows easily, trust becomes a natural extension of the connection. But trust is not just about trusting others, it's also about choosing to be trustworthy yourself. You build trust by honoring your commitments, by speaking truth even when it's uncomfortable, by choosing integrity over convenience. Every time you show up with honesty, you strengthen your bond not just with others, but with yourself. Trust is a mirror. The way you treat others reflects back on you, shaping the kind of relationships you attract and the kind of experiences you create in the end. Trust is not a gift you hand out freely. It is a privilege others must earn through their actions, their consistency, and their authenticity. And once earned, trust becomes the foundation that allows relationships to grow without fear, without insecurity, and without doubt. When trust is present, love becomes easier, communication becomes deeper, and connection becomes unbreakable. But when trust is absent, everything else collapses, no matter how strong it once seemed. That is why trust, built on consistency and truth, is the cornerstone of every powerful relationship. Desire is often seen as something mysterious, something unpredictable, something that just appears and disappears without warning. But the truth is far more empowering. Desire is created. It is fueled by growth, depth, admiration, and the dynamic energy between two people who continue to evolve instead of becoming stagnant. Desire thrives when there is movement, emotional movement, personal expansion, and the constant unfolding of who you are becoming. It dies when there is complacency, predictability, and routine that strips away the spark of excitement. Desire isn't just physical, it's emotional, intellectual, and spiritual. It's the fire that comes from seeing someone fully alive, fully engaged in their purpose, fully committed to becoming the highest version of themselves. One of the biggest misconceptions is that desire is maintained by effort alone, as if trying harder will somehow reignite a flame that has already died. But real desire cannot be forced. It must be inspired. You cannot chase desire, because chasing creates pressure, and pressure kills attraction. True desire grows naturally when two people bring their best selves to the relationship, when they continue to cultivate their individuality while sharing their connection. Personal power plays a huge role in this. When you maintain your confidence, your boundaries, your standards, your vision, you become magnetic. Not because you're trying to be, but because your energy radiates certainty. And certainty is one of the most attractive forces in human relationships. Desire also comes from mystery, not in the form of manipulation or game playing, but in the sense that you are always evolving. When you grow, learn, explore, and challenge yourself, you become someone worth rediscovering again and again. Stagnation breeds boredom. Evolution creates fascination. When you keep expanding your identity, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you create a natural sense of intrigue, a feeling that there is always more to know about you, more to admire, more to desire. People lose desire when they stop becoming. They regain desire when they step into their own power and allow their growth to speak louder than their fears. Another essential truth is that desire must be fueled from within first. If you rely on someone else to make you feel desirable, you become dependent on their validation. But when you cultivate self-worth, when you take care of your mind, your body, your passion, your purpose, you generate an inner glow that others feel instantly. Desire starts with how you see yourself. When you carry yourself with confidence, when you walk with intention, when you live with purpose, you emit a frequency that attracts desire naturally. People are drawn to those who are deeply connected to themselves. Desire also requires emotional polarity, a balance of energies that complement each other rather than clash. Two people cannot inspire desire if they're both passive or both dominant in the same way. There must be a dynamic exchange, a push and pull, a rhythm that keeps the energy alive. When one person leads and the other responds, when one brings strength and the other brings softness, when both individuals offer something different yet harmonious, desire flourishes. Without polarity, the relationship becomes flat, predictable, friend-like, and the fire fades. Ultimately, desire is a reflection of aliveness. When you are alive within yourself, growing, evolving, learning, pursuing your passions, you radiate a magnetic force that pulls the right energy toward you. Desire is sustained not by perfection but by progress. Not by trying harder but by becoming more. And when two people commit not just to each other, but to their own individual growth, desire becomes a continuous current, rising and expanding over time, creating a bond that feels powerful, passionate, and impossible to ignore.